Hello everyone, welcome back. This is first class for Canal University English Composition 101 class. Today we are going to talk about the modal verbs. This chapter is on your textbook, page 189. Okay, let's get into the topic. Modal auxiliaries. You can see on page 189. So the modal verbs. What on earth is the modal verbs? In order to find out what it is, we have to figure out in the first place what is modal. It is the adjective form of mode. Adjective form of mode. So modal verbs. Then we have to find out what is modality. Modality is the abstract concept of modal. Then what is modality? Modality means expressing conditions. What conditions are you in? So in order to express condition, we can use modality. And in grammatical concept, we can use modal verbs. That's the concept of the modal verbs. You can say modal verbs or auxiliary verb, or the easiest form will be the helping verb. So the modal verbs help the main verb to add the meaning of the conditions, expression of the conditions. For example, let me give you some examples of modal verbs. You may be well aware of these modal verbs. May, might, must, shall, should, and so on. These are the examples of modal verbs. And there are 3 rules you have to remember in using modal verbs in English sentences. Okay, let's check it out. Starting from first rule. The modal verbs agree with everything, which means, for example, we use the main verb like I talk, but Jane talks, right? Because this is present and you have to add s at the end of the verb Jane talks, not Jane talk. But modal verb doesn't change according to what subject you are using. For example, I, you, he, she, they, all followed by can do it. That means modal verb agree with everything. You don't have to change whether you use the subject he, she, or they. All the modal verbs agree with everything. That's the first rule. You don't change, you don't add s at the end of the modal verb. May, might, must, no, there's no words like that. The second rule, modal verb. Rule number 1, modal verb agree with everything. Rule number 2, you do not have a to form in modal verb. For example, we can say like, I wanna go to Hawaii. I want to go, sorry, I wanna go to Hawaii. So when you use general verb, you can put to in front of a verb, root form of a verb, to go. But there is not a single modal verb you can use like to, may, to, might, to, should, to, can, to, could. There's never, ever an expression like I too can go home. No expression like that. Yeah, that's the rule number 2. It's unbreakable rules. The last, modal verbs indicate modality, which means conditions. Which conditions are you in? And you can use modal verbs to indicate conditions. For example, what conditions can you think of? When you look at your textbook page 189, 7-2 expressing ability, and 7-3 expressing possibility, and permission, and necessity, prohibition. These conditions can be expressed by using modal verbs. Okay, I can finish my work by tonight. I may go to Hawaii this summer. You may go out. May can be used either in possibility or permission conditions. Necessity. You must finish your homework by tonight. Provision. You must not. You should not. These modal verbs can indicate conditions. So these modal verbs can help main verb to add these meanings. That's modal verbs. Okay? This is the basic concept of the modal verbs, and we can practice. How can we use modal verbs in a sentence in very great detail? Okay, let's look at our textbook. Okay, let me first remove these on the blackboard. Okay, page 189, exercise 1. Preview. Okay, let's check it out. The question, exercise 1. A, I made a terrible mistake. I put the wrong number in my report. My report shows the company made lots of money. The truth is we lost money. What am I gonna do? Shouldn't I tell the boss about the counting error? You don't have to add anything in underline A. So nothing is necessary here. Of course, you have to tell her. You have to tell her. You have to add TO here in number, underline number 2. You have to, you must, you should tell her. The error could get the company in big trouble. You are never allowed to use to here in underline 3. Okay, rule number 1. Rule number 2, you don't use to form in modal forms. So could, to get, nothing like that. Just could get the company in big trouble. It goes on like this. So we have 2. We can move on to next page, 7-1, the form of modal auxiliaries. Page 190. 7-1. The form of modal auxiliaries. We already talked about the form of modal auxiliaries in rule 1, 2, and 3. And in your textbook, it says like this. When you look at the right column of the box, can, could, may, might, should, had better, must, will, and would are immediately followed by the simple form of a verb. This one is same thing as the rule number 2. They are not followed by to. They are not followed by to. For example, Olga can to speak English. Wherever you are living in or wherever you speak any version of English, it's not possible. It's never allowed to use to after modal verb. It's not possible in any version of English. You can't just speak English. No, you can speak English. That's the form. Rule number 2, the main verb doesn't have a final S. You already says, Olga can speak no. Modal verb followed only by for the verb root form in abbreviation R. Root form means speak, not speaks. Not to speak, but speak. That's the root form. Okay, and main verb is not in its ing form. Olga can speak English. Can speaking, it never allowed to use. You're not allowed to use s or ing or to in front of the main verb because we already use modal verb here. Yeah, that's the rule. That's 7-1 and exercise 2. In exercise 2, I have to go downtown tomorrow. Tom must see nothing between must and see. Tom must see his dentist. Let's look at question number 3. Could you please open the window? We already used could in this sentence, so you should not use anything in the underline. Could you please open the window? May I borrow your pen? 4. 5. A good book can be a friend for life. For question 6, I ought to go to the post office this afternoon. This means must and should. So these modal verbs indicate conditions of necessity or obligation. Must, should, ought to. So we have to add to after ought. It goes on like this. Okay, let's move on to 7-2. From now on, we study many examples of modal verbs. 7-2 expressing ability, can, and could. I can do it. I am able to do it. So let's check it out. in your textbook, page 191, 7-2. A, Bob can play the piano. You can buy a screwdriver at a hardware store. I can meet you at Ted's tomorrow afternoon. So can expresses ability in the present or future. I cannot, I can't, I cannot. The negative form can, can't, cannot, or can, space not. The three forms are allowed. E, our son could walk. Past form of can is could. Our son could, our son was able to walk when he was 1 year old. Ooh. He couldn't walk when he was 6 months old. Negative form is could not or couldn't. So exercise 4, page 191. Exercise 4. A cat can climb trees, but it can't or cannot fly. Question number 2. A fish cannot walk, but it can swim. A dog can bark, but it cannot sing. A tiny baby can cry, but it can't talk. You can store water in a glass jar, but you cannot store it in a paper bag. Okay, it goes like this. So let's move on to page 193. Page 193. We are introduced the modal verb of may and might, may and can. So it indicates conditions of possibility and permission. Okay, check it out on your textbook, -7-3. Parenthesize A, it may rain tomorrow, it might rain tomorrow, the same thing. Possibility. C, why isn't John in class? I don't know, he may or might be sick today. Possibility. Second, it may not rain tomorrow, might not rain tomorrow. Yes, may not, might not is negative form of may and might. Maybe it will rain tomorrow. Maybe John is sick. John may be sick. Okay, if you look at F and G, maybe, spelled as one word, maybe is an adverb. Maybe, possibly, it comes at the beginning of sentence. Maybe John is sick. John may be sick. The meaning is very similar, but John may be sick in this sentence. May is a modal verb. Maybe John is sick. Maybe is adverb. Okay. You may have a cookie after dinner. Okay, kid, you can have a cookie after dinner. Permission. You may not have a cookie. You can't have a cookie. Negative form of permission conditions. So exercise 7, expressing possibility. Okay, so let's check it out. A couple of questions here. Okay. 7-3, exercise 7. Question number 1, what are you going to do tomorrow night? What's the weather going to be like tomorrow? What is John going to do tonight? I'm taking something out of my briefcase. It's small and I'm holding it in my fist. What is it? What does Joanne have in her purse? It goes on like this. Let's move on to next page, page 194. Page 194, exercise 8. We can practice using some examples of 4 modal verbs. Question 1, I can play only one musical instrument, the piano. I cannot play a guitar. Let's move on to question 4, okay? What are you going to order? I don't know, I might have tough pasta. Possibility. 5, would you like some more food? No thanks. I cannot eat another bite. I'm full. Ability, inability to eat anymore. So I cannot eat another bite. Okay, let's move on to page 195. Page 195, 7-4, using Could to express possibility. Possibility, why isn't Greg in class? I don't know, it could be C. It could be C. It may be C. Possibility, it could be C. Very similar in meaning. Look at those dark clouds. It could start raining any minute. Possibility. Okay. Let's move on to next page. Can, could, may, might. Expressing possibility. So we are studying modal verbs. So modality means expressing conditions, and many conditions can be expressed by using modal verbs. So up to 7-5 on page 197. 7-5. Polite question. May I? Could I? Can I? Polite. Very civil. Considering others' emotions. May I please borrow your pen? May I please borrow your pen? It's very polite questions. Could I please borrow your pen? Can I please borrow your pen? So these modal verbs indicate conditions of polite questions. Exercise 13 on your page 197. 1. Hello. Hello, is Ahmed there? Yes, he is. Just a minute, I will get him. Can I speak to him? Can I talk to him? Could I? May I? You can use these modal verbs here in this context to indicate polite questions. Okay. Another examples of polite questions is presented on your page 199. Can I? May I? Or you can use like would you, could you, will you, can you? Polite question. If you look at page 199, would you please open the window? Could you please? Will you please? Can you please? People, yeah, we use would you, could you, will you, and can you as polite questions. I think it's easy. Let's practice using exercise 15 on your page 200. Polite questions. Exercise 15 and question number 1. It's getting hot in here. Would you, will you, could you, can you? Will you please open the window? Of course, I would be happy to. Sure, etc. Thank you, thanks. So question number 2, friend A says, the phone is ringing, but my hands are full. Would you pick up the phone for me? Friend B can say like, of course, I'm happy to. And friend A, thank you. No problem. Yes, it goes on like this. So polite questions. You can use the rest of the questions, practice yourself using polite questions. Expressing polite questions using modal verbs, okay? Let's move on to page 202. Page 202, 7-7, expressing advice. Advice. You are recommended, you are advised to do something. 7-7, my clothes are dirty. I should wash them. I should wash them. I ought to wash them. I must wash them. You can never use the sentences like, I should to wash them. I ought washing them. Okay. So we already dealt with these concepts. So let's move on to 7-8. Had better. Had better not. This expresses advice. You better, my clothes are dirty. You better wash them. You better slow down. You better not eat that meat. It looks spoiled. You better not. You should not. It is better you do not something. It is better for you to do. It's better for you not to do it. Had better not. You had better do something. It's better for you to do something. That's the meaning of this modal verb, expressing a device. Expressing necessity, 7-9. 7-9, page 206. Expressing necessity, have to, have got to. Have got to is rather spoken, and have to, must. I have to study tonight. I like to go with you to a movie this evening, but I can't. I have to go to a meeting. I'm sorry. Do you have to bring pencil? Do we have to bring pencils to the test? I had to study last night. These modal verbs express necessity. Okay, page 207, you see 7-10. Expressing lack of necessity, do not have to, must not, do not have to. You don't have to express the idea something is not necessary. I finished all of my homework this afternoon. I don't have to study tonight. Oh, it's good to hear that. I don't have to study tonight. So lack of necessity can be indicated by do not have to, must not. Wow, many practice questions in our textbook, starting from page 208 all through page 210. Let's check a couple of questions on page 208. You must not, question number 1, you must not drive when you are tired, it's dangerous. Question 2, I live only a few blocks from my office. I don't have to drive to work. It goes on like this. Question 3, Liz finally got a car, so now she usually drives to work. She should not take the bus. She doesn't have to take the bus. Yes, it's better. Page 208, lesson number 3. She doesn't have to. It indicates lack of necessity. We're studying expressing a condition using modal verb. Doesn't have to. We are studying this concept. So you can practice yourself using a myriad of questions in your textbook. And on your page 210, there is 7-11, 7-11, making logical conclusions, must. Oh, must. Must is very versatile because must can indicate a condition of necessity or obligation. You must follow the orders of your parents. But at the same time, must indicate a condition of making logical conclusions. It must be true. Oh, Nancy is yawning. She must be sleepy. Logical conclusions. Amy plays tennis every day. She must like to play tennis. Yes, logical conclusions. You can practice yourself using plenty of questions on your textbook. Let's move on to 7-12, giving instruction, imperative sentences. Oh, 7-12, imperative. Imperative means open the door. Yes, sir. Open the door, please. Okay, I'm happy to. This is command, request, and direction. Could you tell me how to get to the post office? Certainly. Walk to block the street. Turn left and walk 3 more blocks. It's on the right inside of the street. So imperative means you are strongly recommended to do something. Imperative sentences starting from using the root form of a verb. Do it. Imperative sentence starts using the root form of a verb. Do it. Open the door, close the window. And negative form, don't walk on the grass. Okay, this is imperative sentences. And making suggestions on your page 215, 7-13, making suggestions. Let's. Why don't you can use these modal verbs to indicate making suggestions. Would you like to do this exercise in pairs or as a class? Okay, let's check it out using the examples on your page 215, 713. Left column of a box. It's hot today. Let's go to the beach. Okay, good idea. It's hot today. Why don't you go to the beach? Why don't you go to the beach? Let's go to the beach. That's making suggestions. Okay. And the last thing in the modal verb on your page 218. Page 218, 7-14. You can see like prefer, to be, preference, like better, would rather. Would rather, it indicates preference. Remember what this modal verb means or indicates situation? Had better. You better go outside tonight for exercise. Suggestion. The abbreviation is D. I'd rather stay inside tonight because I'm very tired. Prefer apples to orange. Prefer watching TV to studying. I like apples better than orangey. I like watching TV better than studying. And would rather have an apple than an orange. Yes, that's the last example of modal verbs. So we dealt with the basic concept of modal verbs first, and then we scanned through your textbooks and dealt with a couple of questions. So I strongly recommend you do it and solve all the rest of the questions we didn't solve in class online. Okay, this is the end of class for modal verbs. Thank you for listening, and I sincerely hope we can see next week. Thank you.